ATARI Karts for the Atari Jaguar, a underrated classic. And whose fault is it that it's underrated? The critics at the time? The lack of marketing from Atari? Its release was also poor timing. ATARI Karts came out in 1995, a window in time when the PS1 and Sega Saturn launched. If ATARI Karts was released in 1993 as a launch game for the Jaguar, it would have had attention from gamers, and it also probably would have had better reviews, and would have had an impact, because 1993 was a year after Mario Kart for Super Nintendo was released, and Mario Kart 1 was more fresh in people's minds. Well, the two most important things about this game are the characters and the graphics. First, let's talk about the most important thing, in my opinion, the characters/racers. If this game had an amazing roster of characters, then people would have overlooked the flaws of the game. At least you can make the cast an amazing nostalgic Atari experience. A cast that brings back old fans and introduces new fans to the classic Atari characters. This did not happen. The only classic Atari character added was Bentley Bear, an amazing Atari icon, and one of the memorable platformer heroes of 1980s arcade games. A character that should have had way more games. Bentley Bear is one of the coolest and one of the most underutilized video game characters of all time. This was all Atari's fault. The late 80s and early 90s could have been Bentley's time to shine, and he could have been viewed in the same vein as Mario, Sonic, and Bonk the Caveman. Including Bentley as a racer is honestly the coolest thing about this game. But anyway, what about the other characters? The game in total has 11 racers, a very good number, many secret characters to unlock, which is a pretty awesome feature. Super Mario Kart 1 never had any unlockable characters. Anyway, the only characters I like other than Bentley are Volky the Alien, Haratari the Samurai, the Pum King, and maybe Firebug the Red Demon from Hell. The rest of the characters are pretty crappy and dull as hell. So unfortunately, of the racers that you start off with, only 2 are really worth an F. I mean, yes, the Skeleton and Snowman are okay, but they just seem way too meh. There is a girl racer named Ms. Trez. Her name is okay, but when she's racing, she looks identical to Penelope Pitstop from Wacky Racers. And this is Atari's Wacky Racers. Yes, but having her look like this doesn't make her stand out, and it makes her quickly become a forgettable character. My least favorite character is Pulpit the Octopus. He's just a bore, and I would not have included him on the front cover attacking Bentley Bear. But anyway, who else we got? Well, there is a racer named Regulus, a chicken with sunglasses and a black jacket. I like him a little bit, but what does his character mean? Is he full of himself? He kind of reminds me of those roosters that sang love songs to the chickens in the old Looney Tunes cartoons from the 1940s and 50s. But is he from a video game? No. Except for the great Bentley Bear, frickin' none of the characters have any video game appearances over the years. And that's a problem. If Bentley wasn't here, then this wouldn't have been as big of a deal. You can't make a bunch of randos and then add one superstar to the roster. That's just so frustrating. It just makes you want all the other characters to be Atari characters as well. Atari had other characters they could have added, such as Charlie Chuck from Food Fight, Captain Havoc from his self-entitled 80s arcade game, or how about the Centipede, or maybe Yar from Yar's Revenge. As a playable racer, you could have made Millipede a secret unlockable racer. All of these would have been the best choices, especially when you name your game ATARI Karts. To not include any of the already established Atari characters was a massive, colossal waste, and pancakes you getting excited about this game. Including these characters would have been Atari's way of saying to Nintendo, hey, you're not the only game company with cool, memorable game characters. And even if Atari somehow did not have the rights to those characters, they could have made generic-looking characters that reminded you of, say, the Centipede or Captain Havoc. I can't stress enough how much of a waste this was on Atari's part. They even could have included Trevor McFur as a racer. Why not? He was a Atari Jaguar character too, and a Jaguar himself. He would have been a cool racer, and maybe including him would have made the character cooler to people over time. I know, it makes more sense for him to be in his spaceship, but still. Because the problem with Trevor McFur was his game, not the character. And why not include one of the Kasumi ninjas as a racer? From the fighting game. Yep, just yet another waste. So anyways, let's talk about the characters that I think were cool additions and the only good characters in the game. First, Volky, the green alien racer. I like him, because his name is a reference to Star Trek, the Vulcans. Kinda makes me think of Spock. His design is generic, yes, but he has a nice bright color green to him. The only problem with him is that he's terrible to race with in the game, with his stats. I don't know. I think he's awful to race with, in my experience. Next we have my second favorite character, other than Bentley, is Haratari, the Silver Samurai Warrior. I think he rules. He's the coolest character in the game, other than Bentley. He's mysterious, he has like a demonic/alien face to him, and at least Atari is in his name. That's super cool. And since Atari's in his name, it gives him a little bit of a character, like he's the protector of Atari, and Atari's video game village. He's Atari's little samurai, and that's pretty badass. I also love his level, a race through Japan, with the pagodas in the background. So Haratari is a winner. Next on my list of my favorites is the Pumpkin Racer. He's got a big pumpkin jackal head, and a stylized bat symbol on the back of his car. His level is also really cool, a haunted graveyard. I just love it. He's also one of the best racers in the game, stats-wise. And last we have Firebug, the red demon freak weirdo Satan character. He's kinda cool. His racetrack is basically hell. Pretty cool track, but I'm just pissed that there's another golden missed opportunity here. Why couldn't they have made this character the red demon from Tempest 2000? Why not? They both have a similar looking design, same color, both are demons. Like, God, come on. It just would have made the character way cooler. The final unlockable racer is Miracle Man. His name comes from Miracle Studios, a subsidiary of Atari, and the makers of this game. At least it's technically a Atari reference, like Haratari the Samurai. So, Miracle Man's stage is in the clouds. Kinda cool. It's like symbolic of heaven and hell. The second to last track is hell, and then the final track in the game is heaven. I guess the rest of the game takes place in purgatory. So what about the gameplay? Well, it's quite good, and pretty fun, but there are some bullshit hazards to avoid on the roads, which can screw you up, and that really piss me off and make me go off the deep end while playing the game. And you can seemingly get stuck for too long on tiny areas of the tracks, which is a real bitch. But if you have enough patience, you can persevere enough to get a good ranking at the end of each race. These things piss me off, but it still has fairly good gameplay, and it is satisfying to complete a race. The music in the game is actually really good. Many tracks are pretty catchy, surprisingly, because most of the music on Atari Jaguar is dog shit. So, they did get the music down right. I would even say that Atari Karts is one of the best Jaguar soundtracks ever, but nothing can top the king, Tempest 2000. So let's talk about the levels, which are one of the best things about this game. Each level looks really good to me. I kinda love each level. The best ones by far are the secret racer tracks, with my favorite being Haratari's Japan domain. There are 4 cups to race. I think each cup is named after something to do with Atari. First is the Borgega's Cup, which I think was named after a building that Atari made games in. Then there's the Carleton Cup, and I unfortunately have no idea what that name means. It better mean something. It better not be some random bullshit like the racers. And then there's the Tempest Cup. Amazing title. Of course, comes from the classic arcade Tempest, and Tempest 2000, and the Miracle Cup, named after the Miracle Company that made the game. So let's talk about each track. The first is a purple alien planet. I believe that each track actually belongs to each character in the game. It's pretty fun and awesome to try to figure out which track belongs to which character. I believe this alien planet belongs to Volky. This is his home planet. He's the alien. Fairly cool. I love the color purple here, and blah blah blah. Next track is a snow level. This belongs to ThePatrickL.PeckShow, the snowman. I dig the level. Snow levels in 90s video games were always amazing looking, for some reason. Next level we have a beach theme, with lots of small waves. This belongs to the boring pulpit octopus character. I mean, this track looks great, but the problem is that it's way too much like the beach level from Super Mario Kart on Super Nintendo. They didn't even attempt to make it look any different. They could have at least changed the colors of the sand, the water, and the background. Jeez. All the tracks in this game are original, and do not copy Mario Kart, except this one. So what the hell? The next track is a classic dirt road. It looks quite good with the Jaguar's graphics. I kinda think this level belongs to Regulus the chicken, cause it makes you think of a barn and stuff. So the next track is meant to be the Crystal Castle's Kingdom from Bentley Bear's video game. It's one of the best looking levels in the game. The level is a little bit too much like Bowser's Castle from Mario Kart 1. Here it's Bentley Bear's castle, and not Bowser's. But it still has its differences. Unlike the Octopus's Beach Zone level. It's a cool level. It gets a pass, but I kinda don't like that the Crystal Castle in the background looks like the Magic Kingdom from Disney World. It should look like it's made out of crystals, and be shiny and blue, green, and purple looking, or something. And also the floor should look like crystals as well. If you're going to have a track that's a tribute to the great Bentley Bear, then you may as well make it look like the arcade game, Crystal Castles. God damn it, but it's still a cool level. The next level is a desert highway, seemingly near Area 51, because of all the cool signs you can see. At first, I thought this was Volky's level, because of the Area 51 signs, and I guess you could still consider it as such. But this one reviewer claimed that this is supposed to be Scully's level, the skeleton character. I don't know why. Maybe because the desert is where you can find lots of dead bodies and skeletons? So this creepy random desert highway represents death. Pretty neat, I guess. Sort of makes Scully's character a little more cool to me. I love that they gave a track to each racer. Again, this is something Super Mario Kart 1 did not do. So points to Atari for doing this cool thing. Nintendo eventually gave each racer their own tracks in Mario Kart 64, but not comparing Atari Karts to Mario Kart 1. Atari did that first. It's probably the only thing this game has over Mario Kart 1. And finally, let's talk about the graphics of the game. Like I said, the tracks look really good. Oddly though, they do not seem like a vast improvement over the graphics of the tracks in Mario Kart 1, but they are only a little more improved. I think that's extremely stupid. This is the 64-bit Atari Jaguar Super Console. This console has the ability to have 3D polygon graphics, so the track should look far superior to that of the Super Nintendo. The fact that Atari did not take the time to make the tracks look 64-bit compared to Mario Kart makes Atari look foolish. They technically have a 64-bit powerhouse, and someone, somewhere, should have put the time in to at least make the tracks look 32-bit to 64-bit graphically. It was able to be done in games like Iron Soldier, Hover Strike, and iWar, so it could have been done here. And there were great excuses to not figure that out, because they made the Jag so hard to program. But this is a Atari Jaguar game with Atari in the name, ATARI Karts, with the star Bentley Bear. If those graphics would have been done to any game, then it should have been this one. I can understand keeping the racers 2D looking, because they look quite good that way, and people were used to cartoon characters looking 2D in video games. but not making the levels 64-bit is unacceptable. Overall, I love Atari Karts for the Atari Jaguar. I wanted it to be way better. We all did. But at least we get to have a kart racer with Bentley Bear, and on Atari's final game console. There was just way too many little things that they could have done to improve this game that they just did not do. Like make a better roster, have 32 to 64-bit racetracks, give the characters cool items to choose in the races, giving the cups cooler names, etc. But I honestly wouldn't say that it's a giant step down from the original Super Mario Kart. Mario Kart 1 isn't that much better than Atari Karts. Atari just didn't have a great roster of racers, and Mario did. Nintendo did their homework and knew that their lovable characters were going to sell the game, regardless of its gameplay, or whatever. That was what Atari never seemed to give a shit about, having awesome mascot characters. Sega understood it, the TurboGrafx-16 understood it, Nintendo understood it, but Atari never did. What the hell was the point of making a cartoony racing game and calling it Atari Karts and not including the Atari characters? It was just another bizarre, bullshit decision-making day at Atari. Atari Karts could have been so much more, if only someone else at Atari just gave more of a shit. I give Atari Karts for the Atari Jaguar a 6 out of 10. A good racer, one of the best Atari Jaguar games. And not just because it's fun, but because we got to see an amazing return of the underrated Bentley Bear, which is the most memorable thing about Atari Karts. Please like and subscribe. I hope you guys loved my review. This was the greatest review ever given to Atari Karts, and I left no stone unturned. Please leave some comments on this classic game. If you love it like me, just know you're not alone. Anyway, have an amazing Jaguar day, guys. I'll see you all next time.